Welcome to the explainer. Today we're going to dig into something we all experience, why we misunderstand each other so much. And the answer, well, it's all about these hidden blueprints running inside our minds. Okay, let's start with a scenario that I'm sure feels super familiar. Imagine this. One person on your team says, let's get this done next week. Simple, right? But what if for half the team next week means, starting Monday, and for the other half it means the following week? Suddenly your whole project is in chaos. And this isn't some rare mistake. It's actually a core feature of how our brains work.
And that's the big question, isn't it? Why do we talk past each other all the time, even when we're speaking the exact same language? It's not just about the words we use. It's about something much deeper. These hidden mental blueprints that shape how we see, well, everything.
All right, let's call this what it is, a communication glitch. And we're gonna dive right into it. This goes way beyond just different languages. Think about different dialects, where you grew up, your life experiences. All of that shapes how you understand the world. One of our sources brings up this amazing example. India. You've got 22 official languages, but get this, over 700 dialects. So even when people think they're on the same page, their mental wiring can be totally different. This glitch isn't really a bug, it's just part of being human. So what is actually going on inside our brains? This is where we get to the really cool part, the mental blueprint itself. Okay, so here's the key idea. It's called a schema. And what that means is your brain isn't a video recorder. It doesn't just capture reality perfectly. Instead, it builds these mental models of the world. So your memories, they're not playbacks, they are reconstructions. Every time you remember something, your brain is rebuilding it from these existing blueprints and a few key details. Now, check this out. This is where it gets wild. Your brain can hold somewhere between 10 and 100 trillion different associations. I mean, think about that. All the connections between every idea, feeling, and memory you've ever had. And yet, our average speaking vocabulary is only about 5,000 words. We have this absolutely massive, complex world inside our heads, but only this tiny little pipeline to get it out. So how does our brain cope with that massive mismatch? Well, it creates shortcuts. We call them scripts. And you use them all the time without even realizing it. Like, think about the restaurant script. You know exactly what to do. You walk in, you get a table, you order, you eat, you pay. You don't have to think through every single step because your brain has a pre-programmed blueprint for that whole experience. Okay, so these little mental blueprints and scripts, they don't just operate on an individual level. They actually scale up. They connect with other people's blueprints to build entire cultures, societies, and completely different ways of seeing the world. And this is a fantastic example of two totally different cultural blueprints for something like business. On one hand, you have the Ubuntu business theory, which is all about relationships, community, and respect. But on the other hand, you've got this land grab mentality, which is described as rationally reckless. Both are scripts for doing business, right? But they come from completely different worlds and lead to completely different actions. And one of the most powerful ways we build these shared blueprints is through stories. Take the story of the Red Sea from the Bible, which one of our sources mentions. It's a foundational story, a core event. But here's the interesting thing. It's told and retold in slightly different ways across different books. Every time it's told, it reinforces that shared understanding and strengthens the blueprint that holds a whole community together. So we're all walking around with these unique, invisible blueprints in our heads. The inevitable question is, what happens when they smash into each other? Well, our brains are hardwired to protect our own models of the world. So when someone comes along and challenges your blueprint, your brain can literally perceive that as a threat to your freedom, to your autonomy. And that triggers something called psychological reactance. It's that instant gut-level feeling of, nope, that urge to resist before you've even had a chance to really think about what the other person is saying. And this collision of worlds can be incredibly personal. There's this great example from a summary of the book A Terrible Country, where a character returns to Russia, and his internal blueprint, his idea of himself and his own success, just completely shatters when he compares himself to his peers. The result is this deep frustration and feeling of inadequacy. His internal script just doesn't work in this new reality. But, and this is the really important part, we are not stuck with these blueprints. We're not just prisoners of our own mental programming. The moment we become aware of them, we get the power to actually rewrite the code. So how do we actually do that? How do we build bridges between our different worlds? Well, there are some really simple but powerful tools. Things like paraphrasing, saying, "So what I think I hear you saying is," or asking follow-up questions to really understand, or just inviting feedback. These aren't just tricks for polite conversation. They are literally tools for building a bridge into the other person's mind so you can see their blueprint. One source uses this really powerful metaphor for this process. It calls it decolonizing our own minds. And what that means is actively taking apart the old, rigid structures that we've inherited. The whole point isn't to create one single correct blueprint for everyone to follow. It's to build a world where many, many different worlds can all fit together. And really, that's the big takeaway here. Once you understand these hidden blueprints, you gain a new kind of superpower. It's the power to see that a simple argument isn't just an argument. It's a clash of worlds. It's the power to connect with people on a much deeper level. And it's the power to ask yourself a really important question. What invisible script is running your life right now? And what would it take for you to write a brand new scene?